Hi, my name's Katie Smith and welcome to my blog. A quick introduction about me and what I do within the early years sector is I own my own early years provision, and alongside my business partner and best friend, we both manage our setting. I often can be found within the setting knee deep in clay, mud, paint, you name it. I like to get a really hands-on approach and learn alongside the children as well as my team. I don't really like to be shut in the office. So with this, I've also just begun to launch my new business opportunity, which is an early years training consultancy organisation called Inspired by Early Years Training and Consultancy. This is a particular passion of mine, and I hope to encapsulate 19 years of experience, knowledge, and interest about the sector and put that forward and hopefully train other early years practitioners. So these 19 years that I've been working in the sector, I've seen lots of different changes and developments, particularly around professionalism. When the Workforce Reform Act came into play as part of the National Childcare Strategy, there was lots of discussion, obviously, about a graduate workforce and moving that forward. So I've seen those changes, and I think within early years, professionalism is something that we personally see from the inside, but those who are looking on the outside, looking in, don't necessarily see us as professionals. Quite often it's said that we just play all day. However, we know that actually, yeah, we do play, but this has a massive impact on children's learning. That's the way children learn. In fact, I believe that's the way that everyone learns, having that hands-on practical experience. So putting that in mind, I was doing lots of wider reading and trying to find out a little bit more about what people think about being professional. I read a great article in Nursery World by Catherine Gunn, who referred to Dale Atkins, who actually isn't in early years. He's a mountain rescue worker. I imagine his role again is seen probably not as the most professional. And he talked about being professional, about the attitudes, behaviours and patterns, that our attitudes drive behaviours, which drive actions and in turn reinforce attitudes, and the cycle goes on. As a professional in the early years workforce, I believe it is my responsibility to ensure that my behaviours and actions reaffirm the value I have on what I do to change attitudes of those outsiders looking in. It's important that as an early years practitioner that we really celebrate our sector and highlight those behaviours and actions for people to see. Siraj Blatchford highlights behaviours and actions of early years educators throughout the EPI project and the research. When looking at method of practice and of teaching, her definition of pedagogy is very reflective of Brock's 7 dimensions of professionalism for early years education and childcare. They both identify that knowledge, education, skills, values and beliefs and understanding are really important. Alongside the study of early education and development SEED, those models can highlight the complexity of working within early years and the positive impact that behaviours and actions have on those in the sector. And I can see this in my role as a professional in the sector, because as a manager, we have to comply with Ofsted, with our local authority, and they have their own quality audits that we have to work towards. Taking Brock's dimensions of professionalism as a tool to discuss this further, really, this is the way I've worked this. So knowledge. As you work in the sector, especially like I have for 19 years, you really build up a bank of knowledge. You learn more constantly. You go on lots of different training courses to build up that professional development. And you develop areas of interest and unique expertises to define your professional identity. And these expertises grow because it's something you're enthusiastic about. And in my setting, my team have different interests and their own unique expertise, which is celebrated, and they lead this area of knowledge to support the EYFS. For example, my business partner really enjoys analysing our early years data to compile future improvement plans to develop learning. And as a staff team, we sit down and we look at the EYFS and the areas that children need extra support in, and then we put these plans into action. One of my early years educators is particularly interested in supporting children's learning by adopting new and innovative approaches to learning, such as forest schools. She's particularly interested in outside learning and the impact forest schools have. Again, reverting back to Siraj Blatchford, claims that pedagogy is a knowledge of variety of ways that children learn. By identifying educators' expertise and offering different opportunities for children, using all the knowledge we hold as a team, we can support children's different learning styles, having a more effective impact on their learning. So the second dimension is education and training. The Workforce Reform Act stated intentions for graduates to lead early years settings by 2015. This had a ripple effect across our sector, and funding became unavailable through local Sure Start projects for our early years educators to progress their studies to lead their provision. And I was part of this initiative and received a pot of funding to complete my early years foundation degree, and then the plan was to move on to my early years professional status once getting my full degree. But as with everything, a change in government agenda meant I was only eligible to continue on my foundation degree to my final module, which I had to then fund myself. Since then, however, there have been a growth of graduates within our sector, and opportunities for higher education is more accessible, with local colleges providing these opportunities. You no longer have to go through universities, you can do it at a local college, which is great, and distance learning has become more accessible too. And that's great for somebody like me who works all the time, who owns their own setting, to be able to have the opportunity to top up my degree through Doncaster College. It's great, because that means that I can carry on my work and do my university work at home in my own time and place, and don't have to keep on commuting to and from a place of study. So there are also a range of training opportunities as well that are available now, which is why I wanted to be part of this by offering my own training. There's different initiatives out there, and there's lots of different opportunities to learn more. I've taken part in a recent project set by my local organisation called BEFT, which is Building Early Foundations Together, and my local council put that in place. We get funding, we go on board, and we learn about something new each time. This project has been run in conjunction with Sheffield Hallam University about makerspaces and how you can embed STEAM into your everyday provision, which has been fab. So skills when we employ new early years educators within my provision, we look at their skills and qualities, and that forms part of our basis for our interview process. So we ask those questions, and they also have to apply for it and state, that they're competent, that they have their own initiative, they can work in teams, and we use references to back this up as well. So number 4 is autonomy. In my setting, we only employ early years educators who are either a level 3 qualification or who are working towards a level 3. And this reflects the high standard that we expect within our setting, and also reflects the requirements of Ofsted. And talking about raising standards and quality, we feel that having those level 3 practitioners based in our setting, they have gone through more training and they understand a lot more about child development. So we believe that that's the better way to go. However, me and my business partner are the most highly qualified in our setting, as both being a level 5. I don't think that makes us the best teachers. It's a bit contradictory in my opinion, as the EPI report findings did suggest that in fact where children show more progress, that staff have higher qualifications, and it's not always been my experience. However, if you can learn more and then you can put it into practice, and you are enthusiastic and keen, and you have people behind you to really drive that, I do believe that is possible. So values, which leads me onto the values and beliefs actually. When reflecting on teaching and what makes an effective educator, we need to ensure that values we have reflects on the families and children we provide our services to. To change those attitudes towards early years, we need to ensure our attitudes, actions and behaviours represent our values and as a teacher in the sector, which are underpinned by theory and practice. Ethics. So in our nursery, we have policies and procedures that reflect codes of conduct and government legislation that must be adhered to. As an owner and manager of my own provision, I enforce this on a daily basis and will challenge any members of my staff who do not work towards my policies and procedures. All the families know about the policies and procedures, and actually we review these annually. We review them as part of our parent forum. So everybody has an input on that. And the 7th dimension, reward. This refers to the influence and social status we have as early years educators. Bearing these 7 dimensions and the way we publicly view our profession, we can alter people's perception of our professional identity as early years educators. So if we look at those 7 dimensions and we drive those forwards as early educators, we can really change our attitudes, behaviours, and therefore actions, and in turn other people's attitudes and perceptions about us as being professionals within our sector.